Greetings and welcome to the Comics Coffee Metal Podcast. I'm your host, Don Cardenas, and today I'm joined by a guest that I am just incredibly stoked to have on, and incredibly thankful that they've taken the time this morning for them, very early in the morning, to come hang out because there's an 8-hour time difference. So I really appreciate them showing up because I've been a fan of their webcomic for many years, as well as the music from the webcomic as well. And based on the show title, who this is, but let's get to it. JP AHONEN, thank you for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me. Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Um, before the show, I just mentioned that I've been a fan of uh, Belzebubs for quite some time, and just getting the chance to read the second volume and just kind of sit down and ingest it all at once was really fun, especially when I got to read it like on a nice rainy day.
Cool.
Just
Yeah,
sit back and,
excellent. Yeah,
and read some funny stuff. And there's definitely some stuff in the book I want to talk about on top of music and all the other fun things. But this is Comics Coffee Metal, so we got to do it.
yeah.
Comics Coffee Metal, what have you been digging lately?
Well, regarding music, I've been listening to the new Evergrey singles,
Oh yeah,
and
I love
that came
Evergrey.
out
Yeah.
just I think last Friday. But I've been like
Yeah.
out of the office
Okay.
and mostly focusing on scripts and stuff like that. So whenever I'm writing, I'm currently writing, finishing up the scripts for the Beelzebubs animated series. So I was working
Nice.
on episodes 12 and 13, like getting some of the excess stuff like out and like tightening them up and stuff like that. So usually when I'm focusing on writing, I can't really listen to music because I get too distracted
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
um, can't really like hear my inner dialogue or monologue.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's sort of like the full album has been now sitting and waiting for me to jump on like inking comics or something, and then I'll really
Hmm.
get to enjoy it from back to back. So, but
It's
judging
it's
from
it's
like,
really good.
yeah,
It's really good.
cool,
I've been a fan of Evergrey for a while, and
yeah,
I'm forgetting the title, but I don't think it
theories
was the
of
last album. It was the one
effectiveness,
before
yeah,
the
oh
last
yeah,
album.
yeah.
Um, which one was that? It had the songs, was it Distance and
It was the yeah.
oh
It,
god, I'm gonna
no,
look it up right now
yes,
just so
same.
I get it right. Um,
It was the one with the sort of like sea thematic, if I remember correctly.
that was the Atlantic. I'm thinking
Right.
no. Oh no, The Storm Within. That was
Yeah,
the one.
Storm Within. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that was
yeah.
like their first album I like
Yeah.
was hip to. And ever since then I'm just like these guys rule. Like they're just so
Mm.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was kind of curious. I'm like, what kind of music is JP gonna mention? Because Belzebubs is black metal. Is he gonna talk about
Yeah,
black metal? Because
yeah,
it's kind of a blind spot for me a little bit. Like
yeah.
some of it I like, um, but the truth and kind of joke of it is like
Mm.
I kind of like just don't really look too much in that direction just because I don't want to have to like find out a band I like is terrible people,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
which can be
yeah,
said of any genre really, but black
yeah.
metal kind of has some
Yeah, but
really
it's yeah, it's
interesting
yeah,
histories.
yeah, exactly. It's that's the sort of like frustration in that genre, and it's very weird. Like, oh, you have to always double check
Yeah,
because yeah,
yeah,
I know some people don't like mind it, but I really do. Like, I don't,
yeah,
I can't like separate that from
yeah. There's
one
just some
another.
stuff.
So
There's like, I understand the argument that separate art from artists, but it's just some
no,
things where it's like that's
yeah,
no,
yeah,
no, no, thank you.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but there is one album that just came out that I feel that is very black metal that I do like want to talk
Mm,
about, and that is Adjure or
mm,
Adjure, and that
okay,
is from
yeah.
cartoonist and former guest and bud Chuck Beebe.
Oh, okay,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah. I know Chuck. Yeah,
this is his second album. He had Nausica the Void, which is the name of the project and the name of
yeah,
the album a few years ago, and he was on a show to talk about it,
yeah.
and I really enjoyed that. And
Okay,
this is
yeah.
much more. It's a different project, different vibe. It's very much like epic black metal. You got that just
Mm,
and it has that the style of vocals to where it's like it is the black metal vocals, but it's got that cavernous like reverbish
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
to it, which is
yeah,
really
yeah.
cool. And
I'll have to
Chuck's an
check that
awesome
out.
dude, an
Yeah,
awesome creator and artist, and
yeah,
the fact that he's just putting out killer music is just awesome. So
yeah,
I would recommend that.
yeah.
Check that out. Adjure, Adjure. Live like you know you're going to die.
Okay, cool. I
Yeah,
will.
it's a full six track album. It's really good. He just came out with it, and
Nice.
um, I'm hoping to get him back. I'm sure I'll try to get him back on to talk about it more. But
Yeah.
yeah, Evergrey. That I checked that out on. I've been trying to be real good about like going to the gym consistently in the mornings.
Mm,
So like Friday mornings is
yeah.
when new music drop. I'll just go to Apple and I'll browse metal and see what's new. And then I didn't
Mm,
even know a new Evergrey album was coming out. So it was like,
yeah. Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
So
I've
yeah.
been yeah. I've been a fan of them since like the first album, Dark Discoveries, and yeah, I remember like I think I like we exchanged some CDs with a good friend of mine back in the day. Like we'd always like bring in a chunk when
Mhm,
we
mhm.
saw each other. Like, yeah, have those and like see what you think and all that. It was fun. And yeah, I don't know. My friend brought me the Evergrey debut, and I remember like being hooked instantly when the first song came on. And it's like, okay, fuck, this is like excellent. Like
Yeah.
it had the choirs and like very infernal sort of riffing, and somehow like blended like Megadeth and Pantera in my mind like
Oh,
together,
okay.
and then brought its own like Nordic Swedish vibe,
Hmm.
from the Gothenburg area.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's just something in the Swedish tap water, because they know melodies, and
Yes.
there's
Yes.
always some sort of hook that like works really well.
Yeah.
So so yeah, that's Evergrey. It has always been one of those bands that isn't necessarily like in the top three or anything when I have to mention like which
Yeah.
bands have
Yeah.
shaped me, but it's been like, well, along for the ride ever
It,
since they've been like active. So
super reliable,
yeah, yeah,
and it's
exactly,
like,
yeah,
and it's not like a even like a dig, just because they have songs that are just some some of my favorite metal songs. If I
yeah,
had to make a playlist of they would definitely have a good presence on there. I
yeah,
haven't checked out
same,
their first
same,
album in a
yeah,
while. I'll have to go back and
yeah,
see if I could
yeah,
see that Megadeth Pantera thing you were hearing.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So somehow
because
I got that. Yeah,
yeah, what first hooked me with them was like they had the big, just powerful riffing.
yeah, yeah,
The production was great too,
yeah,
because
yeah,
you felt those bass kicks just pounding at you whenever
yeah,
they blasted them out. But
yeah,
then Tom England's melodies just going
yeah,
over it,
yeah.
and it not being like, no disrespect to anyone who likes like power metal and like Dragon
Hmm.
Force and stuff like that. That's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
really my kind of thing. But they
Same,
kind
same.
of brought that like the epic feel, kind of like that stuff kind of goes for, but it's much more. It doesn't feel like tongue in cheek or anything. It feels much
Yeah,
more
yeah,
impassioned, I guess, is what I'm
yeah,
going with it.
yeah. They sort of like deliver the same energy as I believe people that like power metal get from that music.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
that's sort of Evergrey for me, and that's it's one of those bands that whenever I'm like feeling sort of slow, that I can't like pick up the
mhm, mhm.
pace and stuff like that, and coffee's not working anymore, then it's
Yeah,
like, okay,
yeah,
well, yeah, Evergrey will always get me like pumped and like
nice.
get the mojo going and stuff like that. So yeah, yeah, I'll definitely be checking the new album when inking the next comic strip. And
Yeah, well, yeah,
yeah,
and that leads into my to a question I had, was this: when you are drawing and inking and stuff like that,
yeah,
is music prominent there? And obviously, yes.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, you said that Evergrey may not be like in your top three when you think about, if you have to
Mm.
name it, but they're always there. Who would be like in your top three? I know it's
Mm.
changes. It's like a daily
Yeah, yeah,
change
yeah,
thing,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
But
yeah.
who's some of your top favorites right now?
Um, uh, right now, well, I'd say it's been. For me, it's been pretty consistent. Maybe the, well, top three, top five in that sense that Opeth,
Okay.
Porcupine Tree, Tool, Pain of Salvation have sort of always been, um, well, I'd put it so that their sort of take on music and how they write songs has sort
Mm-hmm.
of, in a funny way, influenced how I work on my art. And
Okay.
I don't know, like how my brain ticks when I think about doing comics and like compiling these concepts or whatever. And that sort of derives from the fact that usually when I'm, you know, writing writing comics or writing scripts, I often notice that I can't really watch TV shows or write other read other books because
Yeah.
I get sort of like I start questioning my own like choices and
Mm-hmm.
everything. Like, okay, yeah, well, I sort of start dissecting TV shows, for example. Okay, there's the midpoint, and there's like the
Mm-hmm.
whatever the break into the third
Yeah.
act and blah blah blah. So it sort of like sucks out the fun of watching something because I start analyzing it too
Yeah.
much. But
Because you're in
music
that
is
mode. Yeah.
always that what I can like listen to when drawing and all that. Apart from, of course, the intense script writing phase.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember when I was working on Sing No Evil, like way back 10 years ago, I had this long playlist, which included like Riverside and Opeth and Porcupine Tree and, well, Evergrey as well, and whomever, like ranging from progressive metal to like post rock and
Mm-hmm.
jazz and whatever, like everything in
Yeah.
between. But but yeah, as said in actually the second Beelzebubs book, Michael Okerfeld like touched base on the Signal Evil book,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it was their Ghost Reveries album was a big influence in terms of like mood and style of what became Signal Evil.
Yeah. Seeing him pop up in the forward was just like, whoa.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm very
And
like,
it was a great forward too because he was
yeah,
it, it I read it when I read the book, but it's been like a couple weeks, but I may have it wrong, but he was essentially basically like it's cool to see that we influence something as cool as this, and
mm,
how, these things happen. And yeah, that
yeah,
was really awesome to see. And obviously I'm like, you had to be a big fan, I'm
mm,
sure, to have him on that. I'm sure
mm,
that must have felt awesome to just have that kind of like
yeah.
feedback, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. It was very nice of him to like take the time and write. I got his email from my manager. I was just like spitballing ideas that yeah,
Mhm.
I need someone to write the afterword for the book, and had some people in mind. And yeah, Michael was like, I think he was like my first pick
Yeah.
for it, and I was like, well, this is a long shot. I know he's busy. He doesn't usually do this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's see. And I wrote to him, and yeah, he replied in like a day. He's like, yeah, let's do it. It's like,
Awesome.
okay, well,
Awesome.
you don't have to, you know. And it's like, okay,
Are you
but
sure I don't want to bother
yeah,
you?
yeah, exactly. Like, yeah,
Yeah, that's
but yeah,
awesome. That's really
it was
awesome.
great. Yeah,
Um, I'm sure I could take up all our time just chatting about music, but I'll move it along. I'll move it
okay,
along.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, so how about coffee? Like, you're obviously a
mm,
coffee drinker. So do you
yeah,
have a specific like roast you like, or way you
mm.
make it, or you just like hot black liquid? Give it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it varies. Like I like drink it in all forms. We actually visited a coffee festival in Tallinn, Estonia, like in
Okay.
April with my wife. We were in Tallinn for just the weekend, the two of us, and we noticed that, oh, there's a coffee festival here.
Mhm.
Let's go. We'd never been in one, and that was excellent. I mean, I'll definitely go again because,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if you've ever been to one, but like at least here
No, no.
you got your mug, and then you could like roam around different uh, vendors and roasteries and like test their stuff out, and yeah,
That's awesome.
just like buy different like coffee blends and roasts and stuff like that. So yeah, it was super fun. And of
That
course,
sounds like
like
yeah.
when leaving there, you're just like a hummingbird. But
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, but
Do you are you a cream and sugar type person or just straight black or
I usually drink it with oat milk or black. Depends on like
what it is? Yeah, for sure.
yeah, but I don't mind like if it's we drink a lot of coffee here in Finland. Like I think we're in like the top one, top three, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the coffee is good. So
Okay.
yeah. So that's usually why I prefer like throwing in that little milk, because I know that if you go to a restaurant and like have the coffee for dessert, it's not necessarily
Yeah,
that great. So
I my wife and I really noticed that ever since because we're not really we're not drinkers. We don't drink. We don't
mm,
really participate in any other kind of recreational
yeah,
amusement
yeah,
ingesting wise. So coffee is just kind of our vice. Like so we like to
mm,
buy a nice coffee
yeah,
and like we just really noticed like even if we're at a like at a really good restaurant and
yeah.
this coffee comes out and it's like was this like did you scrape this off the parking lot like what is this
Yeah.
and we're I haven't had the pleasure of like being around any kind of like coffee festivals or
Mm,
anything.
yeah.
We've have um, I live in the northern suburbs of Illinois,
Mm,
Midwest, USA, and just north of Chicago if you're familiar with Chicago.
mm. Right.
And there's a lot of farmers markets during like the spring, summer, fall,
Yeah.
and a lot of those places will have like food trucks or coffee, coffee
Yeah.
brewers will come, and we're very fortunate uh, to have a lot of like really good coffee roasters in our area.
Yeah.
Um, and so over the past few years, as I've been doing the show, because I sometimes like to like go and try different coffee roasters and recommend them on the show and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have like 4 or 5 different roasters that I can reliably count on. Like I can
Yeah.
order a
Yeah.
bag and I know
Yeah.
it's going to be great.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
That's great.
like right now, I'm enjoying something from a place north of us called Rusty Dog Coffee. And this is like their it's a dark roast, but it's mixed with like their medium roast, and
Right.
it's like super tasty. And I did it
Yeah.
with a French press. I normally do
Okay.
drip coffee, but
Yeah.
just because my wife and I drink it all day, so
Yeah.
it's easier just
Yeah.
to get one pot going, and
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
But for today, I'm like, well, I need a little extra, and my wife's not a fan of the dark roasts, so I
Right.
am. So
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I've been wanting to try this. Now's the
Yeah.
time, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really good. And it's just like there's another one in Michigan that we really like called Rootless Coffee, who have like just our favorite coffee of all time. We get it like in a 5 pound bag
Yeah.
of beans,
Yeah. Nice.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
we recently switched to a burr grinder. I don't know if you're
Mm.
familiar with the different types of grinders
Yeah.
available for people.
Yeah.
There's like the blade one, which is like the
Okay.
basic
Okay.
one,
Right.
and then
Yeah.
there's like the burr one, which is basically gears.
Yeah.
It's supposed
Yeah.
to be much
Yeah.
more I don't know the fancy coffee people on YouTube say it helps
Yeah. That's what I've
with the
understood.
flavor and all
Yeah.
that, and it
Yeah.
does. It
Yeah.
is a huge difference to be honest.
Yeah.
And we just got the cheapest burr grinder we could find. Like there's ones that are
Yeah.
like hundreds of dollars. We got one that's like
Yeah, yeah, you can really like
yeah
go all in if you want. Yeah,
yeah. We just got one that was like $60 because our little cheap $20 blade grinder kept breaking on us. So we're like let's
right.
upgrade a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah.
But yeah, and even then like the drip coffee like there's tricks you can do to like try to make it more bring out more of the flavor like I mentioned this a lot in the show, so sorry for anyone who's been listening to repeated episodes. But if you have a drip coffee maker
Yeah,
and you have that feature where you can like take out the pot
yeah.
real quick, when you start brewing,
Mm,
take out the pot, just keep an eye on it, and then as it's filling up, go in there like you would a French press. You go and mix it up a bit, let it saturate
mm.
a bit, and then before it overflows, obviously jam it back in there and go.
Right, right.
And I tell you, if you do that combined with like just the grounds being freshly ground at right before that, big difference, big
Mm.
difference.
Okay, that's
Now,
interesting. Yeah, yeah. I've
yeah,
never.
yeah, it's a dangerous game to play because I've
Yeah,
definitely forgotten I've done that,
yeah,
and the next thing you know, my counter is full of grounds, and
yeah, yeah,
I'm like, but
yeah,
thankfully I haven't done that in a while.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
so I kind of laugh to myself sometimes because when people are like, "Oh, I do pour over or whatever," I'm like, "Yeah, that seems really involved to do constantly," and like
Mm.
I'm doing the same. I'm still making things complicated for myself.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I hear you.
So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah. We recently got one of those like DeLonghi, like proper bigger coffee machines.
mhm,
You
mhm.
know, for espresso and latte and whatever. So that's been a fun
Nice.
addition, you know, to
Yeah.
the range. So if I want to make a latte or a cappuccino, that like I can do it
Mhm.
now in the kitchen and stuff like that. And but yeah, it has its risks because I'm drinking those the same
Yeah.
yeah amount basically as the drip coffee, and then to like notice 3 p.m. that okay. My heart is like beating out of my chest now and
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's good fun. And
Awesome.
yeah, talking about roasts and like blends and stuff. Whenever possible, I try and get like the Vietnamese coffee, the Robusto stuff, because
Okay.
that is really it's like dense, but it's not like acidic or
Mhm.
anything. So it's almost like hot cocoa in a way because it's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
like rich and dark. So, but yeah, we usually get Arabica uh, from everywhere. So it's a rare thing. But whenever I go to one of the Asian markets like close by, I try and look if they have the Vietnamese coffee there available. But
I'll have to keep my eye out because I don't think I've
yeah,
ever had that, but that sounds right up my alley.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
I'm I'm not a huge fan of the more acidic type of blends.
yeah,
I've I've had a couple recently. Even this one here is actually pretty acidic,
yeah,
but it's kind of balanced out with the darker uh,
yeah,
notes of it. But I even then like that's just like out of probably dozens of different coffees I've tried over the years, two that are kind of acidic I like.
yeah,
It's not really
yeah,
a common theme for me. But
yeah, yeah.
that Robusto stuff, I'll have to check that out. I haven't heard anyone else mention something like that before.
Okay,
So,
yeah, yeah,
and we have definitely have some quite a few Asian markets around us. So I'll have to
yeah,
keep my eyes peeled for that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's something
Nice,
I can recommend at least.
nice, nice. Well, how about comics? Have you had? I know the score. Like you're making them, you don't really have time to like read them a lot. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
have you had a chance to read any lately that you'd like to talk about, or has it just been like your read piles twice as high as
Yeah,
you?
it's sort of like, yeah, after the comic festivals, I come back with a pile of new comics that just like sit and wait for the
Mhm.
good time to go through them. I've read, they've actually been like mostly Finnish comics, which I've
Okay.
read recently. So I'm not sure if that's too interesting for you guys. But there was one. Mika Liitsen, who lives in Turku, Finland, he did a death metal comic. Uh,
Okay.
so so that was very nice and somehow relatable and everything. Uh, yeah, I really wish that would get like translated, and
Mm.
well, all of his works because he's a good artist. Uh, but like, well, I'm actually waiting for Becky Cloonan's Somna, like. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, so that's something I've been waiting to get my hands on, but yeah, mm, can't remember what would be the previous comic in English that I read.
That's okay.
Yeah, yeah,
It's fine. It's one of those things where it's just like, again, like, so many people I talk to, it's like we all have the giant read pile, and then
yeah,
you know a lot of times most people actually have talk to me about some manga they've read and all that, and that's a huge blind spot for me. So I'm like, okay,
yeah,
well,
yeah,
tell me about it. Like, but
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so yeah, definitely. Previous episode I had a fantastic creator called uh let me double check his name. Okay. Balazs Lorinsky.
Yeah.
He did a fantastic comic called Wolf Pitch.
Okay. Yeah.
And he's currently in Scotland, but I believe he was he's from other parts.
Mm.
But yeah, that was a fantastic comic. I think
Yeah.
anyone who's a fan of like music related
Oh, it's
comics.
the band comic as well, right?
What's that?
Well, it's a band comic, right?
Yes, it's
Is
about
it?
a werewolf playing a bass playing werewolf.
Yeah, yeah. Because I
Yeah.
saw it. Yeah, I saw the ads online, and I was thinking that okay, I have to pick that up when I'll be in San Diego. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
it's it's the music in the book is jazz and all that, but
yeah,
it's
yeah,
still like, if you're a musician, you get it. And
yeah,
there's parts in the book where he tossed in some like minor like music lingo,
yeah, yeah,
and I'm like, okay, he's one of us. Okay,
yeah, yeah,
which
yeah,
is fine.
yeah,
Even if it wasn't, it's fine because it's still
yeah,
really, and it's not it's a very sweet story, but it's also very funny at
yeah.
parts, and it's the art's really great in it, and all that. And I'm a sucker for music
Mm.
in comics.
Yeah,
It's something that
yeah.
I've always you know wanted to do and try to do. Like one of the first uh, mini comics I ever did was like a 6 pager about uh, a mutant metal band.
Yeah, yeah.
you know the drummer the drummer was basically all tentacles, and like
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, of
singer
course.
had two mouths and stuff, like just crazy
Yeah,
stuff like that. In my current
that's
comic, Edie
fun.
and the House sings about a
Mm.
metal band hunting vampires.
Yeah, yeah.
And so music and comics, is definitely something that's always been uh, appealing to me and all that. Is that
Yeah.
something that's always been kind of like in the back of your mind? Because I know you
Mm.
mentioned you haven't really played your guitar much lately and all that,
Mm.
but
Yeah,
you have played it. You have that experience.
yeah.
Is melding those two worlds always something that you feel is going to be part of your creative journey with comics?
Yeah, like when I was around 16 or something, because yeah, I really got into metal and comics around the age of 13. And I think like my teen years were actually pretty good. I know people struggle in that age,
Mhm.
but I sort of like had everything made. Like I found comics and I found heavy metal, and I could like do and enjoy both. And I was like a very happy little camper,
Yeah,
because it's like, yeah, I'm going to divide my whole time between these two things.
yeah.
And that's what I did. I'd go to the, uh, what the, well, bookstores, comic stores, whatever we had, and then the local library, and get like whatever pile of comics and new book music I could, and then went shopping with a good friend. Well, actually, who KP, who we created Sing No Evil with, and so we'd basically every Saturday we'd go downtown and like roam through the records stores and secondhand shops and whatever, and like come back with a pile of CDs and books. And
Nice.
uh, yeah, if I wasn't uh, reading or listening to music, I was, well, drawing comics or trying to make music and play the guitar and stuff. So and back at the age of 16, 17, I was flirting around with the idea that I want to make um, I want to make my own music, and
Hmm.
then the CD like leaflet could be a comic book in itself,
Oh,
like
okay. Yeah.
combine the two in that sense.
Hmm.
And well, that never worked out because yeah, I I didn't have like the brain power or the skills or anything. Like, okay, what would be interesting? And I was basically always the stories I was making at the time. They were always improvised, pretty much. So they kept changing, and you'd get to page 98 or something and then realize that okay, I need to start over because the style had changed in that time,
Okay. Yeah,
and
yeah.
everything like that. So it was good fun, but yeah, it never led into anything. And then, like, years and years later, when we started creating, well, working on Sing No Evil with KP, I sort of had my hopes that okay, maybe this could become something similar as what I had in mind, like back in high school. And well, that never happened because yeah, Sing No Evil was such a different ball game, and yeah, I didn't have any like proper contacts
Hmm.
in the animation business or anything like because I've always wanted it to be a virtual band in that sense,
Okay.
you know. So, but anyhow, then later on, I started Beelzebubs, and suddenly, like, I don't know, things just clicked. You know, I was in touch with some of my old musician friends, like well, actually, they asked me if I had plans to make music for the comic because it sort of like
Hmm.
needs to be there. They said, and I couldn't agree more. I said that well, it's my first web comic, and that was like one of the sort of ideas I had when starting it that I wanted to make these shitty little 20-second like clips.
Yeah.
Basically, I would have like done all the instruments and growling and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
then done some crude animation by myself, just like for shits and giggles. And
Hmm.
then like the plan was to throw those on Instagram or whatever, but I never had the time to do it. So yeah, one of my friends said that well, I have a bunch of demos that's never like gone anywhere, so I could maybe
Okay.
dig those up and let's see if we can use that. So we were sort of testing around with this idea, and then suddenly we started thinking that maybe we're thinking too small. Like, should we just
Hmm.
like make proper demos, not the crappy little like
Yeah.
20-second kinds,
Hmm.
and then like approach I don't know some record label or whatever. So we did that. Like suddenly we had this little super band of super group of musicians on board, and we made 3 demos. And sent that over to Century Media, and they replied instantly saying that, well, yeah, when can we call you? And it sort of like snowballed from that.
Nice.
And yeah, it was like bizarre. Now the sort of stars were in the right place, and uh, I had all that sort of experience from the other comics and stuff like I've done and had these ideas. So it was nice to sort of like open the drawer and like throw them on the table. That yeah, well, I've always wanted to do this and that, and I have these ideas. So yeah, the biggest challenge, of course, is and has always been like the animated part because that is
Yeah.
expensive and
Yeah.
time consuming and whatever. So yeah.
You know, that's one of the things I love about Belzebubs is the fact that it really felt like you, in terms of just like doing different things with it, it felt like your approach was like, yeah, let's do that. That'll be cool. Let's do that.
Mm.
That'll be cool. Like, can we
Yeah,
do this? Can we do this?
yeah,
Because there is the comic, there's the animated series being worked on,
yeah.
there's the music videos, there's the concert, there's
Mm,
the actual album, which is good. It's
mm,
really good. Um, and it's just all these cool things, and it's very like inspiring to someone like me who, has similar,
Mm.
thoughts about like, well, it'd be cool if we did this with this my book here. Cool, I
Yeah.
did this. Cool, I did this.
Yeah.
Because it's certainly not a brand new concept, but more and more, a lot of creators slash musicians are
Mm.
making music for their books.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even someone like Charles Soule, who's a huge writer with Marvel Comics, he put
Yeah.
together a whole album,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because he's a
Yeah.
talented musician,
Yeah.
you know, and the first time I remember hearing about someone making like their own music for a comic was for the comic book Wasteland from Anthony
Mm.
Johnston,
Yeah.
and I don't think he's been writing too many comics now because he's doing novels and all that now.
Right. Yeah.
But he also has a fantastic podcast called Thrash It Out, where he and a
Okay. Yeah.
co-host, they'll pick an album ranging from Opeth to
Yeah.
Winger,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they'll listen to it and then they'll argue
Yeah.
about it. Because the other co-host, Brian Latendry, he's very much kind of loves all of everything, including
Yeah.
80s hair
Right.
metal type stuff, and
Yeah.
Anthony
Yeah.
is much more the darker
Yeah.
realms.
Okay. Oh, cool.
But yeah, but
Yeah.
hearing him make a soundtrack, and that inspired me to do that for my first book, and then with
Mm.
EB and the House Sings, I'm writing music for that, and
Yeah. That's cool.
just I had another project that I was doing that I actually wrote an EP of instrumental metal stuff for, and I finished that, but the comic itself ended up being unfinished just because
Mm.
it was right when the pandemic hit, everything closed down, and just like
Yeah.
things kind of
Yeah.
went to hell a bit
Yeah.
for me
Yeah.
there.
It's.
Eh, but yeah, but like I'm just sitting on this EP of music with it and all that. I'm like, I gotta get back to that. But
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, just the fact that you're exploring all these avenues with it is really cool, and just really inspiring to someone like me, and I'm sure plenty of other people
Cool. Cool.
that are just looking to do things like that.
Mm. Yeah.
When it comes to like your art, are you a digital? Do you draw digitally, or is that, or you
Yeah.
prefer traditional? Okay, okay.
Yeah. Like I'd say 95% of the time I do everything digitally. For like I've, I've tried to do some illustrations like with pen or pencil with ink wash for
Hmm.
the Beelzebubs pinup calendars at least. So just to
Hmm.
keep that sort of feel
Yeah.
and touch. But most of the time I do everything digitally. And with Beelzebubs, because I need to like chop them up into so many different formats as well, for
Hmm.
webtoon scrolling, for Instagram, for Facebook. It also appears in our local newspaper as like a Sunday strip format. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
once again the panels have been rearranged for
Yeah,
that
yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff. So it's much more handier if it's somehow coherent, and I have a template on it like digitally instead of always like
Oh, yeah. That's
scanning and then like
yeah,
rearranging and stuff. So
yeah. No, that makes a ton of sense. Just
yeah,
the just the convenience of having the digital templates
yeah,
and just being able to just like do all that. I know
yeah,
totally.
yeah,
I I was someone who's always like, I'm gonna be stick with traditional or whatever, but
yeah,
then once I decided, because I tried flirting with digital here and there, I never really like bought into like a Cintiq.
mm,
I had like
yeah,
budget versions of that kind
yeah,
of stuff, and I was like, that's okay. And then I in 2020 I just bit the bullet and got an iPad
yeah,
Pro, and
yeah,
it's all been from there. It's like, okay, this is what it was.
yeah,
Okay, this is what I need to do.
yeah,
This is the
yeah,
device that
yeah,
and also I found the right kind of like brushes and how to tweak the settings to where it felt like
yeah,
what I would normally do.
yeah. That's
Um,
good. Yeah,
so, but yeah, I still try to like with commissions and stuff. I still try to keep do some traditional stuff here and there
yeah,
because,
yeah,
but I still do the dumb things like I'm trying to zoom in on a piece of
yeah,
paper,
yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
like
Or undo.
rotate it or something, and it's like, oh no, I
Yeah,
have it taped down. 1 second.
yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but no, it's definitely convenience, and again, like you said, with all the templates, all the different formats you got to deal with, it just makes sense.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, there's a lot of awesome stuff in the second volume of Belzebubs, and there's one joke in particular that just has made me chuckle
Mm.
ever since the past few weeks whenever I think about it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to give anything away if someone read it, but it's a fart joke,
Okay.
but it's the sound effect for the fart,
Okay. Okay.
and
Excellent.
it's essentially
Yeah.
using the Trve
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
in it.
Yeah.
And I just, when I first read it, I almost spit out whatever I was drinking.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah.
I feel like the using the V
Yeah.
as a joke and things, it is kind of like farts themselves, in that it's funny when you see it, and then after a while
Yeah.
you're like, all
Yeah.
right, I get it, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but then it comes
Yeah.
back around and it's funny again.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like an endless well. um so I
Great.
said to shout out that
Yeah.
particular joke just because it was really good, but the rest of the book is
Cool.
really awesome, especially the bit about the I guess show and tell gone wrong, we'll put it
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
it, it's
It's a fun storyline, and hopefully it sort of like weaves in sort of like the core problems of the whole family and concept in general, like what I want to do. Like, 'cause you have basically the family and the Beelzebubs are a sort of allegory for whatever minority in you have uh, in the world, and they get sort of like frowned upon and like meet racism and like prejudice and stuff like that, and then but they're just you know they have their own culture and ways, and like
Mhm.
try and just live their own life. And one of the points I try and get across is that they're never like prejudiced themselves, and that
Yeah.
they sort of like root for being open-minded and
Mhm.
like just minding your own business and trying to support one another, even though they of course jest that the band will never take off and stuff like that, because well
Yeah.
I'd imagine like in any sort of like family, uh, if the father has been like trying to meddle with the band for 20 years and it's not like gone anywhere, it sort of
Yeah.
becomes a running joke already.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a story about like compassion and perseverance and like trying to reach live your own dreams and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and that's that's one of the larger things I think, that really comes through with the book, is that there's a lot of heart to it, which
Cool.
is seems kind of funny to say about a book about a
Yeah.
essentially a black metal band,
Yeah. Yeah.
but the family stuff, it is, you know, as I've seen it compared to, like, it is kind of like a modern Adams Family
Yeah.
situation,
Yeah.
because even as outlandish as some of like the craziness that happens with the family and stuff like that, you can look at the root of it, and
Mm.
you can see where it comes from, like a real thing that someone
Mm.
might
Yeah.
experience or whatever.
Yeah.
And being a parent myself, and you're a parent, obviously,
Mm.
I know that comes from experience.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know we've all had those, like,
Yeah.
this is awkward moments of things and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And
Yeah.
um and also, like, the thing of, like, one of the parents trying to do the thing, and
Mm.
being a comic creator myself, trying to do the thing, and
Yeah.
then trying to
Yeah.
maintain everything else on top
Yeah.
of all that. um it's very relatable, obviously,
Yeah.
and all that,
Yeah.
but and also
Cool.
it's used to an excellent job of just weaving that in with just comedy and just kind of like the craziness of you know a band,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
stuff that goes through there,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
things like that. And I've told people about this comic before. I'm like, even if you don't, it's not like you have to like metal to enjoy
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
comic.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And that's, I think that's one of the best things, is like, there's stuff in there that that you can laugh with them about ridiculous metal things,
Right.
like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
maze in one
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
helps the
Yeah.
black
Yeah.
metal band out of the
Yeah.
forest,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and things like that. But
Yeah.
also, it doesn't always, you know, it's also not poking fun at people who aren't them. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just
That's the
presenting
thing.
situations,
Yeah.
and you're allowed to kind of like, you know, just go along for the ride and enjoy it. And I think that's one of the uh most appealing things about the book, is the fact that just anyone can just kind of sit down and enjoy it,
Cool.
and you know, if they just like are able to put away the like, okay, I'm not in a black metal band,
Mm.
but no, it's just a family drama, ridiculous characters,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
everyone loves each other. You know,
Yeah.
everyone
Yeah. Yeah.
is will willingly kill for each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
and
This. Yeah.
you know, on top of all these crazy themes, and all that, there's also like, you know, the occasional fart joke, which is hilarious and perfectly like
Mm.
inserted in there, and it's just really really paced well, especially, you know, and now knowing that like you kind of add extra stuff in to the volumes to kind of
Yeah.
like help things flow, which
Yeah.
makes perfect sense, and all that. um so yeah, it's been really it's been really great just kind of like walking through it again, because I did read it a couple weeks ago, and then I was kind of like scrolling through it again today just to
Yeah.
refresh my memory, and I have it up right
Yeah.
now. So I'm kind of looking through this,
Yeah.
and I can't highly recommend it enough to anybody who just likes a good this is a good book to read. You
Cool.
know, it's just something you just sit down
Thank
with.
you.
You know, you can even just like, you know, sit down, read a few pages, set aside, come back. You know, everything just flows really well,
Thank
and
you.
I'm really glad that, you know, you have a chance to like just take it into these different mediums and all that.
Mm.
um I
Cool.
understand if you can't speak too much about the animation
Mm.
detail stuff, so if you can't answer this question, that's fine. But is there anything like in the translation from comics to animation you've kind of felt like there's a change, or something like you
Mm.
feel like is or isn't or is working better than you thought it would
Right.
with the
Yeah.
transition?
Yeah. Um, the way we're sort of treating it is that, well, I'm the head writer and showrunner of the show, and I'm trying to sort of like keep things in sync
Hmm.
as far as I can, so that the basically the comic strips are, they basically serve as snapshots into their daily lives, and then
Yeah.
through the animated series you can like really dive into like the whole situation and like seeing, okay, this is what played out, and so that they sort of complement each other.
Hmm.
uh, there are some changes we've made for the sake of story, so that it well flows better in an episode or the whole story arc of the first season and stuff like that. But they're minor things, like and which like if it would have been needed at the time, I would have possibly like done for the comics as well
Yeah. Yeah.
and stuff. But since most of the comic stuff is basically more or less improvised anyhow, like on a weekly basis, and then
Hmm.
I try and weave it together into the comic book form later.
Yeah.
It's a different ball game, and but with the animated series, it's more thoroughly thought out and structured, and mm, there's a lot of cool like epic stuff which we've written, but there's also a lot we've had to taken out because of
Okay.
budget limitations and stuff.
Hmm.
So in a way, like I can go totally overboard with the comics because
Yeah.
it's just me drawing like a few panels and stuff. So there I could I have no budget limitations in that
Hmm.
sense. In
Yeah.
in the animated series, of course, it's like, okay, we really have to count every single prop and side character and location. Like we can't have three fantasy sequences and
Yeah.
like a flashback and a ton of versions of the like in different outfits
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
main characters for just one silly gag. So there's a lot of like trimming down what I've been doing like for the past few months now with getting feedback from pajama films, and then I'm rewriting scenes and, well, trying to make it more affordable, keep the fun, and like slip in new jokes when like some of the visual gags have been like taken out and stuff like that. But in a sense, I feel I like the control and what I'm able to do with the comics, in the sense that, well, both the animated series and comics are basically rooted in drama, but it's just
Yeah.
like, well, it's sitcom anyhow, so the characters
Yeah.
make it funny, and as you said, like, the heart in it, even though it's a comic about a black metal band and people and that sort of culture, that's sort of uh, the thing I like playing around with contrast. So you have this grim, like corpse painted dude with the spikes and
Yeah.
stuff like that, and then he's like the most kind father figure you can like imagine. so
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I just like, to me, that's funny, and that's somehow like shaking up the stereotypes, and
Yeah.
like when we were presenting the scripts for the show, I remember we got some like feedback from some like producers that, well, why can't Lucy stay home, and why can't like Sloth tour the world? And it's like, well, it's it's not the concept. Like he's a
Yeah.
stay at home
That's
dad,
something.
and
Yeah.
like the wife's the breadwinner. Like, wait, like, what are you, in the 50s or whatever?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
So
like,
so it's like,
yeah.
yeah, it felt, some of the feedback was like surprisingly like stale and like, I don't know, somehow surprising that in this modern age think
Yeah.
people think this way.
Like,
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what like the feedback for the show will be. Of
mhm.
course, like, well, I hope people, at least the Belzebubs Corp fans, will will love it, because
Yeah.
it, to me, I think it still taps into everything we've like come across in the books, and the sort of heart in it,
Yeah.
and you get like a deeper sort of dive into their daily lives and the events and what their sort of dreams and fears are actually like. But we touch base on both, and the first season is a like, they're individual episodes, but there's like an overarching story. So things develop and like continuously move on, and we see a lot of like stuff from the first book, but there's still a lot of, it's, as I said, they complement each other. So it's not like you know everything from the first season if you've read the comics or anything like that. So there's a lot of extra stuff. Like we go into BaseCon, the biannual satanic sex cult orgy night, for example, in one of the episodes, and stuff like that. So yeah, you, plus having that new medium of, well, moving images and audio and stuff. I think it, well, I think it should hopefully like be a perfect combination, because you have the music, you have
Yeah.
the animated characters, and you have the storylines from the books and comics and stuff like that. So it sort of like
Yeah.
blends all elements together in a unique way.
Awesome. Yeah, and what you said earlier, it makes perfect sense that the comics are a snapshot, and
Mm,
the show you get to delve deeper and dig into things a bit more. Um, is there anything in the so far that's been worked into the show that you're kind of like, oh, I didn't, once I sat down and thought about this scene
mm,
here, like it went in like a different direction you thought, or like something surprised you about when you dug in deeper to
mm.
something that you've like, oh, there's something more here than I expected.
Yeah, possibly like lots of situations like that, and I'd say that it's been very like past years we've been working on the show. I think we started concepting the show in 2019.
Hmm.
So it's been a long process to like well get it funded, and like now we started the actual pipeline this year. So uh, we've kickstarted the design process for 4 or 5 episodes now. So it's like going pretty fast now. But anyhow, I'd say like through this process, I've become to know my characters far better, and yeah, there's it's constantly like feeding more story that than I can maybe tell,
Yeah.
because you sort of like want to dive into every character because they're close to my heart, and there's a lot of like backstory I have in the
Hmm.
back of my head. So it would be nice to sort of like I don't know touch on that, and but it is a process. Like it's constantly changing as well. Like in the scripts, we had more time, for example, in Hobbit's workplace at some point, but then we've had to like strip those down because the story demands some different elements to keep it going. So then,
Okay.
yeah, it's there's been so much stuff that's basically gone to the waste bin in in a way. But yeah, I feel like the stories have become tighter anyhow. So
Yeah, it's always hard when, even if it's just a comic strip where it's like
yeah,
you have so much in your head about these characters and you
yeah,
want to share this with everybody
yeah,
because
yeah,
you feel like I love these characters so much, I want to share this,
yeah,
and you just don't have the space for it. It just
yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
make
exactly, yeah,
it doesn't make narrative sense for you to do that, but you're
yeah,
like, I just want to do it though.
yeah, 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 exactly.
And yeah, it's definitely something I've experienced with my own books and all that, because I don't write the book, but I'm a co-creator on it. And Steve, the writer, he's lets me have a lot of input,
Yeah,
on a lot of
that's great.
things, like, and I have so much like head canon, they call it, or
Yeah,
whatever, for
yeah,
all
yeah,
the characters and all these different
yeah,
scenes, and like
yeah,
there's various things that like I'm just like I just kind of like vomit it all out to him,
yeah, yeah,
and it's like, and he's like, if I can use it, I'll use it.
yeah,
you know
yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm really excited because when we first started developing this first arc, Steve kind of had it more all together. I'm getting ready to start the last issue of this first arc,
Mm,
but the next arc is the one where I actually pitched it to him.
cool.
you
Yeah,
know
yeah, yeah,
and the ideas and all that, and he was all for it, so I'm really excited to do that. But yeah, I'm getting a chance to like put some of this
yeah,
crazy,
yeah,
just this relationship stuff in there. And we've Steve and I've actually talked about adaptations. What would that look like? And for
right.
me,
Yeah,
I'm very much of the mind of like, the comic. Like if
mm,
something comes
yeah,
along and it's like, oh, it's going to be changed, or maybe, if it's going to be this kind of thing, maybe they up the comedy level versus the drama or
mm,
whatever.
yeah, yeah,
I think, as long as it's capturing
yeah,
the essence,
yeah,
yeah, do it. It's a different thing. It's
yeah,
not the same thing. And a lot of people can't really make that delineation and all that. One of the
yeah,
more
yeah,
apparent things of that is like the most recent Ninja Turtles
mm.
adaptations. I don't know if you've are a fan of the Ninja Turtles at all, or
It was a
they had the
huge
recent
thing.
Mutant
Yeah, when
Mayhem
growing up.
movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, I saw Mutant Mayhem with my daughter in
yeah,
the theater, and she loved it. I loved it.
yeah,
It wasn't my Turtles that I grew up
mm,
with,
right. Yeah,
but it was still fun and
yeah,
entertaining,
yeah,
and it was
yeah,
really, really nice to see a different version of it.
yeah,
And I'm glad that that's the version that my daughter gets to experience.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
really fun. But then there's the people who are like, that's not my turtles. It's like,
yeah.
yeah, because your turtles were 1988, man. Like it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, it's so it's just one of those things where it's just like, maybe I'm just more laid back about that kind of stuff. But when there are adaptations of things, I learned pretty quick that it's never going to be the thing I want it to be. So just let
Yeah,
it be.
yeah,
Let it be what
yeah,
it is, and try to enjoy
yeah,
it on that. You know,
yeah,
I think we're pretty close to the same age. So
yeah,
if not maybe a year or so apart. So like I learned with the first X-Men movie, nothing's going to be what I want it to be,
yeah, 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 yeah,
but I
yeah,
can still enjoy it for what it is.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
you know,
yeah. And like I think this sort of mindset is good because
Mhm.
then well, okay, well, even in like the comic strips, not everything is in canon. Like I might get a dumb idea which like
Yeah,
absolutely has zero point, or like it doesn't line up with the whole sort of like realm of Beelzebubs, and like how well the physics and laws of that universe. But if I have that idea and it's funny, I'll draw it anyhow and like just get
yeah,
it out of my system. So and yeah, I know some fans are like, okay, yeah, this sort of like put me off, and that I didn't know this would be possible in that like realm and stuff. But it's like, well, yeah, just have fun with it. Like it's a
yeah,
comic strip. It's one strip, and it's like
yeah,
now it's out the window. So
yeah, yeah. And the most important thing is excuse my language here.
yeah,
It's your fucking book.
yeah, yeah,
Do
yeah,
whatever you want
exactly.
with it.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
what you don't like it, go make your own book. It's
yeah,
fine.
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
That, yeah.
But no, it's awesome that that you're the showrunner and you're writing the scripts for the animated series, because at least there's that, just you get to be kind of the guiding light to make sure at least the essence of the show is, because I'm sure you
Mm,
have to give up so many, you have to trust so many people to
yeah,
like
yeah,
do everything else,
yeah.
which for some people is probably much easier than other people and all that. But the fact that you're still there kind of guiding and all that is really awesome. Forgive me
Mm,
if I've missed it somewhere, but is the animated series, like, is there like a set like release date, or is there like a specific like
yeah.
where is it going to be shown, or is it?
We're looking at like a 26 release, I think. And
Okay.
currently we have like some countries and channels, but since like most of the fan base is from North America and like
Hmm.
all over the world, like I think Finland it's in the top 10, but it's somehow somewhere like around the sixth or seventh country, in that list. So we're trying to get it as global as possible,
Yeah.
uh, because well, as fan service as well. So I hope like some streamer picks it up and all that. So,
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, right now basically the channels we have uh, are ones that have also like participated in the production. So we have
Okay.
like a international co-production thing going on. The
Hmm.
Finnish national broadcaster Yle is like the commissioner, and then there's channels from Italy and Spain on board, and then some other countries as well. And this is actually like weird because you basically we have those huge Catholic countries who are like jumping on board Beelzebubs, and it's like
Yeah.
mind-boggling to me. Like, okay, really, this was like not on my like.
you
Yeah,
know
I
I
wasn't expecting it. Yeah.
you know um I think there's the average like Catholic-ish
Mm.
person, like, they get it. They get
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's not, you know, like, look how big a band like Ghost is,
Mm.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and they use straight up Catholic imagery everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
some version of it, whatever, and that's not harmed them in the slightest with
Yeah. Yeah.
popularity
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
anywhere. So, no, I think it's just like the appeal of it, because also again the book is so much more than just that.
Yeah,
Such a surface level read of someone's like, oh, this looks like something blasphemous. It's like,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
it's a funny family strip
yeah,
mixed with a whole bunch of other kind of awesome things. um so yeah, it's and I'll be setting my clock for 2026 so I can sit down and watch it.
yeah, yeah,
And who knows what the state of streaming will be in 2026. Everything seems to be kind of like imploding on itself.
yeah, yeah,
um and then for all we know, it'll be uh someone will buy everybody else.
yeah, yeah.
But
We'll
hopefully
see.
it gets the proper release it deserves.
Yeah,
Because I think this is definitely something I think people would really really latch onto if they get a chance to
mm, yeah.
check it out and all that.
We'll see. Yeah.
um before I let you go, I do have a couple more questions, but first up, some of the questions we received from social media, we've kind of answered them a bit
Okay.
here.
Cool.
But there is one question in particular that would not have come up.
Yeah.
And I kind of gave you a little bit of warning about this
Yeah.
beforehand.
Yeah.
My good old buddy, Grant Stoy, previous guest, comic book writer, all around scamp. Um, his question is, would you rather have teeth that screamed when you chewed something,
Yeah.
or fingers that moan when you hold something?
That's a good question.
It's
And
it's
and surprisingly, this hasn't come up in any of the previous
Yeah, you'd
interviews
think we
I've
would have
ever
touched
had.
upon this at some
Yeah. Yeah.
point. You
I'd go
know,
with the fingers.
the
Yeah. Because
fingers.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, I'm
Because
surprised
somehow like
because
yeah,
because
the teeth screaming. It's more yeah, gives me the creeps. But then like the moaning fingers and stuff like, oh, I can live with this.
at my wife's work, sometimes they have these things. I forget what they call them, but like they'll ask like those like general questions of like, if you won the lottery, what would the first thing you would buy, or things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Kind of like
Yeah.
to start meetings off and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like I presented this question to her, and both her and I had the same exact answer, and that was the teeth.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
I feel like the teeth screaming thing feels like it'd be really off-putting, but like fingers that moan, like if you have to pick up like your
Anything.
kid or something and your fingers are moaning, you're like, this is too weird for me,
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
I think
Yeah,
that would be just too far.
yeah, yeah.
um
I didn't even think
either,
about
either
that. Yeah,
either way, Grant, I probably would just end up cutting off my hands, or ripping out all my teeth and just
yeah,
getting some
yeah,
dentures or something.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
No,
Cool.
neither, please. But
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
thank you for that
yeah,
lovely question, Grant.
yeah.
But yeah, and thank you
Thanks.
everyone who submitted some questions. A few of the questions we had, especially about the animation stuff and all that,
Yeah,
were stuff I wanted to ask already anyway, but were other people wanted to know. So hopefully they got fulfilled with their answers there. I do want to ask, is there plans, or you got so much going on already,
mm.
but are there plans for another album in the works? Can you say, or can you not say, or?
Yeah, yeah. Like the second album has been mixed and mastered in
Oh, okay.
yeah this spring, and like that should be coming out next January. So
Oh,
we have a
awesome.
date for it in 25 now. So
Awesome.
yeah, now it's just like a race to get new music videos and stuff done, which is like the the bigger
Yeah.
burden here.
Yeah. Especially.
While simultaneously like keeping the because I'm so tied up with the animated series as well. Like I'm not working full time there. They
Hmm.
have a great staff, great designers and stuff like that. But a lot of ping pong going on that I get sent sketches and Sampa, the director, wants to keep the show as close to like my style and like voice
Hmm.
as possible. So even when sometimes I'm like, yeah, this is fine. Sampa will go, yeah, but I want JP's opinion and like
Yeah.
redraw, redrawing of this and stuff. So yeah, I'm. It's a good place in that sense to be as well, because I feel respected, and like that, I feel like I'm in good hands with
Hmm.
pajama films, in the sense that they're not some greedy, a streamer who just like wants to buy one
Yeah,
IP off the market so no one else gets it, and then
yeah, and
it'll
just
get
dump it
like
out.
dumped.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So here I feel like there's that same sort of like zeal and like interest towards the family and the whole
nice,
concept in general with pajama, that yeah, it's good to work with them. But
awesome,
yeah, new album in 25, and it's like an hour worth of pretty intense
awesome.
melodic symphonic black metal once again. With it's more in, it leans more towards like the progressive stuff, and
Okay,
it has that, it has bits and pieces that might remind you of Cathedrals of Morning and Nam Gloria Lucifer, but it's I'd say it's closer to the Dark Mother, Crowned Daughters, and Pantheon of the Nightside Gods, those
okay,
sorts of songs. So
awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised at least with the first album that like it was a lot groovier than I expected it to be, which is
cool.
nice. I
Yeah,
love a good you know a good groove with my metal.
yeah,
So yeah, and the tracks you just mentioned were uh are all great. So I'm excited to
cool.
see what comes next with that.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and I gotta bug you with one final question. And I know you
yeah,
said you haven't played a guitar in a while, but
yeah,
I always have to ask everyone
yeah.
who plays, what do you got? What's your what guitar, what kind of gear you're running?
I have two Yamaha acoustics. Then
Hmm.
I have a Landola acoustic nylon string, and I, well, this is ages ago actually. My first electric guitar was an Ibanez
Hmm.
X. Now I have the PRS SE two
Oh,
four
okay.
five, and
Yeah.
then I have one of. I used to have a Line Six bigger amp with
Hmm.
the pedals and etc. But at one point, like I had to sell them. But now I have a Black Star smaller
Okay.
amp, and yeah, I've sort of been like daydreaming that once I have a bit more time, I'd like to
Hmm.
like get some new pedals and stuff like that. But right now, it's like, well, I won't have time for it anyways. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
like I'm thankful you have time to sit down and talk here because all the other
no
things
worries.
you got to be
Yeah,
juggling. So, carving out time to just riff out for a while, I totally get how that'd be a troublesome thing.
yeah, but it
I've heard
would
lots
be
of great things about
so.
Black Star,
Yeah,
about their amps and all that.
yeah,
I am surprisingly I don't have any guitar amps.
mm,
Everything's in
yeah,
my computer. Everything's
yeah, yeah,
interface
well, yeah,
in.
yeah,
I have way too many amp plugins, but
yeah.
even though I have so many, yet I keep using the same ones over and over again, just because I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
I
but
don't know what
judging
it is.
like from what I heard from Instagram, for example, the sound is
Yeah,
really good. Like the like overall, what I heard from the clips and stuff,
oh
you
yeah,
have a
thank
really good setup. So
yeah, thank you. I'm pretty fortunate that I've figured that kind of out. Though I think in my last couple clips, there's some sort of weird like phasing effect going on. I have to check. There's like because I have my recording program that
mm,
I go into there, and then that feeds into OBS. If you're familiar with
yeah, yeah,
OBS,
yeah, yeah,
and that's what I use to record the video. So like,
yeah,
if I'm just riffing away or something, you know, 99% of the times I'm posting something on Instagram that I'm playing, it's just so I
yeah,
have a visual reminder of how to play it later if I want to
yeah,
mess with it.
yeah, yeah,
Um, so that's why I kind of have that set up all ready to go. But I think some update somewhere changes, so it's kind of, but it sounds cool, the phasey effect. But I'm like, that's not
mm,
exactly what I'm hearing.
yeah,
But
yeah,
no, I've been very fortunate to slowly over the past several years like get this, get that, get this, get that, and
yeah,
figure out how to do this and
yeah,
make it really easy to just set up because it is super easy now just to like do
yeah,
something. I got
yeah,
something I forget what it's called, but it's like like another like a little $60 interface that I can use to just like plug in my phone
Yeah.
to record and just like
Is it an
audio out if I just wanted to do it that
iRig
way.
maybe?
What's that?
iRig maybe?
I had an iRig for a while.
Okay,
This is a
right.
different one.
Yeah.
I forget the name of it,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
yeah, it's a bit more involved. It's actually almost like a
Good.
little mixer. It's more
Yeah. Yeah.
mainly
Yeah.
for podcasting,
Okay.
but
Right.
I'm basically able to like just yeah. There's technology is so awesome these days.
Mm.
It makes
Yeah.
it so easy to
Yeah.
do everything, and it's also very um. I'm bad with option paralysis. So it's like I have all these options to do things, all these different guitar,
Yeah. Yeah.
all these cab impulses,
Yeah. Yeah.
aka simulators that I can just change the sound on. And
Yeah.
thankfully, I've kind of like figured out what I like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and thankfully it's also like if anyone's familiar with the YouTuber Ola England,
Mm.
um, I'm a huge fan of his in general, but also his sound,
Mm.
his
Right.
tone.
Yeah.
And once I got a couple of his company's Solar guitars and I was running it through some of the stuff I had, I'm like, oh, yeah, this is it. Like
Yeah.
this is what
Yeah. Yeah.
it's kind of like that scene from Back to the Future where it's like that sound you're looking for. Listen to
Yeah.
this. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's deep reference for anyone who has. I realize I'm getting older. Not many people are going to get the Back to the Future thing, but
Yeah.
it's just one of those things. So like, hopefully for you in the future,
Yes.
you'll and I'll be happy to help point you in any directions if you need to like just to find a fast simple thing so you can just like set up, just fucking just rip out for a while
Yeah. Yeah.
and all that, because there's so many great options these days with modelers and stuff like that, and even
Yeah.
something simple as like a Boss Katana amp, like
Mm.
those things are
Yeah.
just killer, like emulating all the tones and stuff like that, and all the Boss pedals are like
Yeah.
available to you there.
Yeah.
It's really cool stuff. So I would yeah, I've crossed my fingers for you that you get a
Yeah.
chance to just do that and all that, because I'm sure it's an itch you want to scratch and all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Definitely. Like I have the acoustic at home, so whenever possible, I just like try and pick it up because it's therapy. You just
Yeah,
like
yeah,
pick it up, and then suddenly 45 minutes have gone past, and it's like, well,
yes,
it's just like it's meditating in a way.
1,000%.
And but yeah, the electric guitar I have here at the studio, and well, yeah, I hardly spend like leisure time here. It's always like
Yeah,
focused on
yeah,
script writing or drawing or meetings or whatever. So yeah.
yeah, yeah, definitely. It's that's one of my favorite things about guitar and just playing music. I started off as a bass player. I still kind
Yeah.
of consider myself a bass player. Um, but you know, it just scratches that different itch
Mm.
creatively.
Yeah.
I can kind of turn off any of like the like imposter syndrome stuff that you get with art and things like that. And
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I might not be good as XYZ guitar player, but I don't care. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm having
That's,
fun,
yeah.
and it's that kind of stuff. And it's I hope for you and I hope for everyone else, like if you're a creative person, you can find that kind of other creative outlet to where
Yeah.
you don't really
Yeah.
care how
Yeah.
good you are at it.
Yeah.
You're just
Yeah.
enjoying the process of doing it,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's so crucial, especially when you are trying to pursue a creative field with something else, and it can just be very taxing
Yeah. Yeah.
mentally and
Exactly.
things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And the
Yeah,
most fulfilling, like interesting stuff usually happens when you're like out of your comfort zone. Anyhow,
yeah, yeah,
so like even having that mindset in like work is crucial, I think.
yeah,
Uh,
for
but
sure.
yeah, yeah, I noticed that now that it's it's the drawing and writing and stuff like that. I'm missing that sort of like the, the third point of the trifecta, like
Yeah, yeah.
just like picking up the guitar and like
Hmm.
noodling away with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, really
Not
looking forward.
not that I recommend you do anything as dumb as this, but when I'd gotten back into playing music around 20 end of 2014.
Mm.
And then my daughter was born in 2016, and there's a big gap where I wasn't really playing anything at that
Yeah.
point, and I wanted to get back in the process of playing, and that's where I kind of started to figure out, how do I post things online.
Yeah.
So for the month of October, I did this thing called Rifftober,
Okay. Yeah.
and
Cool.
every
Yeah.
day I posted a new riff.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just wrote a riff,
Yeah.
posted it, good, bad,
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever, and I did that 4 times.
Cool. That's cool. Yeah.
I took 1 year off in between the middle there, but and then like at the end of the last one, I was like, I think it was 2022 was the last one
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I have like, you know, a few years worth of
Mm.
like riffs from like 30 days. Like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
now it's time to make some songs.
Yeah.
Like,
That's awesome
I
though.
have so
Yeah.
many to choose from, and it's been, but it definitely like put me out of a comfort zone. Not that I was even that comfortable to begin with, but it
Mhm.
forced me to really think, because like I couldn't just do the same riffs over and over and over again. I
Yeah.
had to like
Yeah. Yeah.
change it up or do a different tuning or do a different thing. So
Yeah. Yeah.
getting out of that comfort zone, I think, really pushed me for a bit.
Yeah.
So if you ever find yourself like with that time to like just give yourself some sort of challenge like that, I
Yeah.
highly
Yeah.
recommend it.
Yeah.
um
That's a fun idea, and like yeah, Rifttober, because like, well, Beelzebub started as an Inktober
yeah, yeah,
challenge thing.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Self therapy project. So yeah. Now I'm sort of like, that sounds fun, but it also sounds like threatening in a way. Like I do another self therapy project, and suddenly
Yeah,
like, oh
yeah,
yeah,
no.
now I have a thrash metal band or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You've got it. You've got enough going on with all that. Um, but yeah, if you can reasonably just try something like that out.
Yeah.
And from there, like I'm trying to write some songs. I got another friend who's a great musician, and we're kind of collaborating on some stuff,
Mm.
because he knows how to do the mixing and
Yeah.
programming drums, and he's a great singer and guitar player himself. So it's kind of nice to be able to like trust that, okay, he
Yeah.
can handle all that part.
Yeah.
I can just contribute the
Yeah.
music itself, and then we
Yeah.
can ping pong on some of the stuff.
Yeah.
But I've been also trying to work on some covers, and that's
Mm.
been fun.
Yeah.
Because I like because I've been trying to make some doom metal covers of
Yeah.
just like other songs that aren't doom metal at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like the Blue Oyster Cult's Godzilla. That's the one I'm working on right
Okay.
now.
Cool.
So I'm like, if you just cut that tempo in half, throw some
Yeah.
fuzz on it, that's a
Yeah. Yeah.
fucking epic doom
Yeah.
sounding
Yeah.
song, man. I posted a little clip of it on Instagram a while ago, but so
Cool.
I'm hoping once I'm after this hump this month of my art deadlines, I can kind of take some
Yeah.
time in July and do that. So
Yeah.
again, you are beyond busy, sir, and especially with multiple kids,
Yeah. Yeah.
drawing the strip, show running the show, all the other stuff that goes around involved in that.
Mm.
But I hope you get a chance to sit down and jam out and do something, because
Yeah.
I'd love to see it too, because I
Yeah.
that's one of my favorite things as well on social media, is just seeing other artists or creators who are musicians just jamming on something or whatever, because it's just fun to see, like we're all kind of part of that tribe, I guess.
Mm. Yeah.
A bit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Definitely.
um well, I've kept you enough. Once
No
again, thank you
problem.
so much for coming in early in the morning,
My pleasure. This
letting
has
me get a
been
chance
really fun.
to spew my love of Belzebubs to you, and all that, and talk let me rant on about music and
Yeah. Yeah.
guitars and stuff. And you know, definitely, if you're interested in finding in what fast stuff it is to like put some stuff out, like I'm more than happy to shoot you
Oh,
some
definitely. Yeah.
links or
Yeah.
whatever. um
It's
because
good that this
it's very
came up.
selfish for me,
Yeah.
because I get to see it, I get to see the results then.
Yeah. Yeah.
But aside from that, I can't wait to read more about Beelzebubs. I can't wait till the animated series comes. 2026 will be here before we know it. um
Yeah.
we know, and other parents know, that the time is that.
Yep. Yeah. exactly.
It just goes so fast, and then just everything else that's coming forward, the new album, all of that stuff. Everyone, please go check out Volume 2. It's just a really just fun, amazing book. It's from Top Shelf. Go check out Volume 1 as well. Go get them
Cool.
both. Good companion
Thanks.
pieces.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I have them digitally, but I need to get the physical copy so I can put them
Mm,
on the shelf here. I'm not picky about what's on the shelf, but I'm much more judgmental about what I actually get to have physical space, and it's just
mm,
like that's
yeah.
definitely something I need to have on there, just so I can just reach over and grab it whenever I need a good time. But yeah, JP, thank you so much for your time, for
Thank
coming
you.
on. Now it's time to let everybody know where they can find you online.
Yeah. You'll find us, for example, on Facebook. It's Belzebubs Official. You'll find me on Instagram with JP AHONEN, just like JP AHONEN. That's my handle. And yeah, you'll find me on Threads as well. And yeah, Beelzebubs.com is the home website for everything Beelzebubs. And and yeah, if you happen to be at San Diego Comic Con, I'll be there this year. So in just a month. So yeah,
Awesome.
that's one chance to like come say hi, and I'll gladly sign and draw something in the books as well. So
Well, you heard it, folks. Go
yeah,
check it out. There'll be links to all that stuff in the show notes and the description below. And once again, JP, thank you so much.
thank you. This was a pleasure.